Hi everyone, in this video we are going to make a blog website using CSS grid. So first we are going to make this layout. So this layout contains a header, an aside, a main section and a footer. This is completely responsive. So if I inspect, you can see that all the sections are neatly stacked. So after we have completed this layout, we are going to convert this layout into this blog website. This is also completely responsive. So if I inspect, you'll see that all the section neatly stacked on top of each other, and we have this hamburger icon which I click to bring up the menu. All the posts are displayed neatly. We have a body background which I'm going to show you how to do it. So let's start coding. The first I'm going to create this layout, and then I'll convert this layout into that blog page. So in the VS Code editor, I've already imported the images that I'm going to use. These images I've downloaded from Unsplash. So first I need to create some files. First file I'm going to create is index.html. Second one is style.css, which will hold the styles. And third one will be app.js. I'm going to use a little bit JavaScript to handle the mobile navigation. So in the index.html file, write exclamation mark and press tab. So this is emit. I'm using emit, which will insert the basic structure of a HTML page. Here let's change this to blog, and I'm going to link the style sheet. So link style.css, and I'm also going to link the JS file, so app.js. Now in the body, let's see here, we have this header, aside, main and footer. We have 4 sections. So I'm going to use HTML5 tags. First I need to make a container, which will be a grid container. So container, and inside this all the elements will be its child. So first I'm going to create a header. Inside this I'll have a h1 tag header. Then I'm going to create a aside tag. Inside this I'll have a h1 aside. Then I'm going to create a main tag, h1 main. After this I'm going to create the footer. So we have this footer semantic tag footer, and inside this h1 footer. So let's open this. So now our page looks like this. Now let's style this. Here in the style.css file, first I'm going to convert that container into a grid. So I'll write container. First I'll change this to display grid, and then I'm going to define columns. If you see here, we have 3 columns, 1, 2 and 3. So remember this, if you have n number of columns, then you have n plus 1 number of lines. So here I have 3 columns, so I'll have 4 lines. So 4 column lines. This will be call 1, call 2, call 3 and call 4, which is used to place the child elements in a grid. So these column lines are used to place the child elements in the grid, which I'm going to show you. So first I'm going to define the column, which we use grid template columns, and here I'm going to have equal columns, 3 equal columns. So I can do repeat. I can use the repeat function. How many times I want to repeat? I want to repeat 3 times, and what I want to repeat? I want to repeat this fraction unit, 1 fr. So here we will create 3 equal columns, 1 fr. You can also write like this, 1 fr, 1 fr, 1 fr. This will also create that, but you can also use the repeat function. Then I'm going to define rows. So in the desktop version, we have 3 rows. This first row, this second row and this third row. This first row and this last row footer will have a fixed height, and this row will have a height auto, because we don't know upfront how much content we'll add in this section. So it's better to give this an auto height. So I'll define the rows. So grid template rows. Here I'll have 100 pixel for the header, auto for the main and the aside, and 100 pixel this will be for the footer. Now if I open this, you'll see a page looks something like this. So here we need to specify the height of this container. I'm only doing this just to show you the entire layout, but when I'm going to add the content, I'm going to remove this height. So I'll write height 100 VH. So now that we have specified the height, let's work on the individual section. So first I'm going to target the header, which is a child element of the grid. So I'll give the background color teal, and here I'm going to specify how I want to lay out this header. So there are basically 4 ways in which you can lay out the child element. So I'm going to show you the first way, the grid column start. Here I'll write from where I want to start the column. So for the header, I want to start from column number 1, this column number 1, and I want to go all the way up to here. So here I'll write grid column end 4. So let's see we have this header spanning across all the 3 columns. So let me do one thing. I'm going to assign a width to our container 70%, and I'll set the margin 0 and auto to center it. So this is the first way, using the grid column start and grid column end. Now let me show you the second way. So here I'm going to use the grid column start, and now I'm going to use span 3. So using this keyword, you are telling CSS that you want this header child to span across 3 columns. So this way I don't need to specify the start and the end. So if you see, we have the same thing. So this is the second way. Let me show you the third way. The third way is using grid area. So grid area. So in here we can also specify the column start, column end, and row start and row end. So first is row start. So for the row, I want the header to take the first row, and column, first column, then row end. In which row I want to end? I want to end this in row 2, this row 2. And in which column I want to end? I want to end in column 4. So this way you can also place the child element. So this is the third way. Now let me show you the fourth way, in which I'm going to name our child element. So here I'll write grid area. I'm going to name it header, and in the container what I'm going to use is grid template areas, and in single quotation I want this header, since we have 3 columns, I want this header to take all the 3 columns. So I'll write header, header, header. Let's see. So we have the same layout. So you can choose any way to lay out your content depending upon your wish. So for this tutorial I'll be using span. So let me remove all this. I'm going to use span. Let me beautify this, change the spacing. So we have this. Now let's work on the aside section. So I'll write aside, background color, I'll change this to orange, and I will lay out this as grid column start span 2. See this span 2. Need to do the span 1. So this much. Now let's work on the main. So I'll write main, background color, I'm going to give this tomato, and grid column start span 2. So this main section will span 2 columns. Now finally I'm going to work on the footer. Background color brown, and for grid column start span 3. So we have this layout, but it's not responsive. So if I inspect, so this is not responsive. So let's work on the responsiveness. So I'm going to use media queries. So media max width 768 pixel, and in here I'm going to target the container. And now what I'm going to do is, when I hit the mobile version, I'm going to just have one column. In the desktop we have 3 columns, but in the mobile version we'll have only 1 column. So I'll just write grid template column 1 fr. Let's see, we have only 1 column now. Then I'm going to change the number of rows. In the mobile version we have 1 2 3 4 rows. So I'll write grid template rows for the header 100 pixel, for the aside auto, for the main auto, and for the footer 100 pixel. So this much code we only need to write to make our page responsive. So let's refresh. Oh, one more thing I need to do is I need to target all the section aside, main, footer. So here I'm going to change the grid column start to span 1, since we have only 1 column, so it will take up entire screen. So this is the mobile version and this is the desktop version. So we have completed the layout, and now it's time to create this blog website using this layout. So let's start building the blog site. So first I'm going to write the markup, HTML markup, and then I'm going to style it. So in the header section I'm going to create the navigation. So I'll write nav. Inside this I'll have a class logo, and here I'll write h2 inside this dev blog. After this I'll have a ul inside this li. I'll have 4 li, and then inside the li I'll have a anchor tag. So here home, blog, contact. Let me remove this, only I have 3. So this is the navigation. Then I'll add the hamburger icon, for which I'm going to use HTML entity. So inside the a tag I'll use a class mobile, and in here I'll write ampersand hash 9776. So this is a HTML entity for a hamburger icon. So let's take a look. Since the height of the header is 100 pixel, we are not able to see this, but I'll show you later. Then I'm going to create the links inside the aside section. So first will be post. For post, here I'll have a h1 recent post. Then I'll have a ul. Inside this I'll have li, then a tag, and in here I'll use lorem 5. Then after this I'll create another li inside a, then lorem. Let me first duplicate this 5 times. Inside this I'll have lorem 4. Here I'll have lorem 6, lorem 2. You can also put actual content here, but for just showing you I'm using lorem option. Then after recent post I'll have a div with the class comments. Inside this div I'll have a h1 recent comments, then a ul li. Inside the li I have a tag. I'm just going to duplicate this 7 times. Lorem 5, lorem 4, lorem 6, lorem 2, lorem 4, and lorem 4. So we have this comment. Then I'm going to create archive section. I'm just going to copy this, paste it here, change this to archives. So let's see. So we have the size section done. Now we'll work on the main section. So inside the main section I have blog roles. So I'm going to create a div with the class blog post. Inside this I'll have a div with the class meta to hold the title and the meta information about the post. Inside the meta div I'll have a h1 desert lorem 7, inside a h3, I'll write lorem, let's say 8. Then I'm going to use a small tag and I'll write by, then insert an anchor, admin, and in here on September 3, 2021. After this meta div, I'll have a div for post, and here I'll have the image, which is images and desert, and then I'll have a p lorem inside this, so lorem, let's say 35, and right at the end I'll have a tag, and inside this I'll have these 3 ellipses. So this is one blog post. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy this one more time and 2 times. For the second h1, I'm going to change this to C beach, and here it will be C. For the third, let's change this to mountain, and in here mountain. Now finally, let's work on the footer. So in here I'm going to use the h4 tag, and I'll write dev blog ampersand copy. This is HTML entity for entering a copyright symbol 2001 to 2021. So this is the markup. Let's see how it looks like. We need to style it. It's look horrible right now. So now let's work on the styling. So I'm going to use a font called Poppins, which is a Google font. You can use it for free. So search for Poppins, and here I'm going to use the regular weight, this one, select this, and weight 800, which is extra bold. Now I'm going to click on this import, copy this and paste it at the top of your CSS file. Now I'll write some base styling. Let's give some space. Here first I'm going to target everything by using the universal selector. I'll set the margin to 0, padding to 0, and box sizing, border box. Then I'm going to target the body. So font family will be Poppins, and the fallback will be sans serif. Then I'm going to add a background to the body. So using the background property, I can use URL. Under the images, I have this bg.jpg. So let's see. So we have the background, but it's very huge. So I'm going to change this to background size cover. Now I'm going to target the UL tag, and I'm going to change the list style property to none. Then I'm going to target a tag. I'll remove the underline, text decoration none, and I'm going to change a color to hash F9 F9 F9. Then I'm going to target H1. I'll change the color to FFF FFC. I'll set a margin top and bottom 16 pixel, right and left 0. I'll set the font weight to 800. Then I'm going to target H3. Margin will be 8 pixel, top and bottom, right and left 0, and font weight will be 800. After this, I'll target the paragraph tag. I'll set the margin top and bottom 16 pixel, right and left 0. Line height I'm going to give to 1.75, and font weight will be 400, which is for regular. After this, I'm going to target, see how it looks like. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to target the images, all the image tag. I'll set the max width to be 100%, and height I'm going to give auto. So let's see. So it is well inside the container. I'll set a margin top 15 pixel on the images, so as to have a margin between these two elements. Let's work on the navigation. So here I'll write navigation, I'll target the header. I'll set a line height to 100 pixel. So if you know the height of the container beforehand, so in this case we have set this header height to be 100 pixel. So you can center the element vertically using the line height property. So if you set the line height equal to the height of the container, the content inside this will be vertically aligned. Then I'm going to target the nav. I'll set this to display flex, align item center, and justify content space between. I'll set the width of the nav to 70% and I'll set a margin 0 auto. So let's see. So first let me change the background of the header. So I'll change the background from teal to F9, F9, F9. And after this, I'm going to target the UL li. I'll set this to display inline and padding top and bottom 0, right and left 16 pixel. Then I'm going to target the A tag. So nav UL li A. I'm going to set the color for the A tag in the navigation section to 20, 20, 20. So now let's see. So we have this. Since we have the hamburger icon, that's why the flex justify content space between is not working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this hamburger icon, this class mobile, when we see this page on the desktop version. So I'll write mobile and display to none. So let's see. See, now we have this navigation perfectly aligned. So now let's work on the mobile version for this navigation. So right click, inspect. So this is how it looks like. So here I'm going to use media queries. So at media, max width 768 pixel. Inside this I'm going to change the position of nav to static, and then I'm going to target the UL, and here I'm going to set the width to 100%, background color gray, position to absolute, top 100 pixel, left will be 0 and right will be 0. Height, I'll set this to 40 viewport height, and text align to center. So let's see. So this is how it looks like. I'm going to change the container size to full width in the mobile version. So here what I'm going to do, in the media query for the container, I'll set this to width 100%. So this is how it looks like. So next I'm going to work on the li. So here I'll target nav UL li and I'll change this to display block. So we have these links like this. Then I'm going to target the anchor tag. So nav UL lia, and I'm going to change the color to #FFF, this white color. So now let me change the color of this hamburger icon because it is not visible right now. A dot mobile, and I'm going to change the color to #202020. Let's see. Since I made this hidden here, I need to write display block, and I'm also going to change the font size to 32 pixel. So let's see. So we have this icon. So now let's work on the JavaScript part to enable the toggle function. So in the app.js file, I'm going to target the menu document dot, I'll use the query selector, and in here I'll target the nav UL. Then I'm going to target the hamburger, also document dot query selector, and here nav dot mobile. Now when the hamburger is clicked, so I'm going to add an event listener, add event listener on click, and I'm going to write a function which will be called when the menu is clicked. And in here I'll write menu dot class list dot toggle, and here I'll write a class show. The show class is not yet defined, so I'm going to define it outside the media query. So here I'll write show and display block. So now let's see, refresh the page. If I click, why it's not working? Let me check. Oh, here I need to first hide the UL, so I'll write display none. So now if I click on this hamburger icon, the menu is shown. So now let's work on the aside section. So after the navigation, I'm going to create a comment aside. In here first I'm going to target the aside tag and I'll set a padding to 64 pixel all around. So this will create a padding 64 pixel. Then I'm going to target the comment, so aside dot comments, and also archives. In here I'll set a margin top to 64 pixel. See, we have this margin top, comments and archive. So this is the site section. Let me change the color. I'm going to remove this background color to this color hash 313338. So let's see. So we have this aside. Now let's work on this main section. First let me change the color from tomato to hash FFC. Let me also change the color of the footer to hash F9. So let's see. So all the colors are changed. Now let's work on this main section. So after this aside section, I'll write main, or let me write blog. I'm going to target blog post h1 and I'm going to change the color to hash 202020. Then I'm going to target the blog post A, this admin, this one, and I will write color to dodger blue. Then I'm going to set a padding, so blog post padding all around 32 pixel. So this is what we need to do for the main section, this blog post. Let's work on this footer. So go to this footer tag here. So inside this I'll write text align to center. I'll change this to display flex, align item center, and justify content center. So let's see. So we have this text vertically and horizontally aligned. So this is the complete site that we have created using CSS grid. So let's check this on mobile. So this is how it looks like in the mobile version. And also we have this mobile navigation, which is also working fine. So I hope you like this video, and if you do, please give it a like and also subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next tutorial. Thank you.